Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, today I want to speak directly to the heart of a lie that too many have accepted as truth. It is a silent assassin of purpose, a thief of dreams, a quiet enemy of destiny. It wears many faces: low self-worth, comparison, shame, timidity, but it all comes down to this one deceptive belief: I am not as valuable as others. You were born with worth and divine intention. This truth is foundational, not just for your self-esteem, but for your very existence. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, purpose had already identified you. You are not here by accident or coincidence. You did not arrive on this planet by random biological chance. You were conceived in the mind of God long before you were conceived in the womb of your mother. Your birth was the manifestation of a divine idea, vision from eternity that entered time in human form. You are the visible expression of an invisible intent. Every created thing carries the purpose of its creator. The worth of a product is tied to the intent of its manufacturer. When God created you, he placed his image on you. That image is not based on physical appearance or nationality, nor is it confined to social status or education. The image of God speaks of his nature, his spirit, and his creative potential deposited inside of you. That means your value does not come from what you do, what you wear, what you own, or where you come from. Your value comes from whose image you bear. In a world where people measure worth by external standards, titles, bank accounts, popularity, or talent, it is easy to forget that divine design cannot be measured by human criteria. The most expensive diamonds are often found buried beneath the earth, unseen, overlooked, and hidden. But the process of being hidden does not cancel the value of the diamond. In the same way, your value is not diminished by the fact that others may not yet recognize it. Being unknown to men does not mean you are unknown to God. You were born with something the world needs. Embedded in your spirit is a seed of greatness, a deposit of divine potential, a treasure hidden in an earthen vessel. It is not pride to acknowledge this truth. It is obedience. When you belittle yourself, you are not being humble. You are being dishonest about what God has invested in you. If the Creator saw fit to send you into the world at this time, it is because he placed in you something specific, something vital, something needed for this generation. Your arrival on earth was the solution to a problem. You were sent here to answer a question, to heal a wound, to fill a gap. That is why you cannot afford to doubt your worth. Your life is not just a journey, it is an assignment, and that assignment was given to you because no one else can fulfill it like you can. The fingerprint of your soul is unmatched. Your combination of talents, insights, personality, and perspective is unique. There is no one like you, and that is not an accident. It is intentional design. Divine intention means that every part of your being was crafted with a specific outcome in mind. Your strengths were chosen. Your weaknesses were allowed. Even the trials and the challenges you faced are part of the formation process. The fire didn't destroy you, it refined you. The pain didn't disqualify you, it prepared you. The storms didn't derail your calling, they clarified your purpose. God does not waste experiences. Every part of your story is part of his strategy. You are not an experiment. You are not disposable. You are not a leftover. The world may treat people like commodities, but heaven treats people like vessels of purpose. There is royalty in your bloodline, not because of earthly lineage, but because you come from divine origin. You carry the DNA of dominion, the breath of the Almighty, the capacity to create, to lead, to influence, to serve. Your worth is not fluctuating. It is not subject to opinions, applause, or rejection. It is fixed. It is eternal. When God breathed into Adam, he did not breathe oxygen. He breathed himself, his spirit. That same spirit gives you life today. And if the Spirit of God dwells in you, then inferiority has no right to your mind. You are not a beggar looking for approval. You are an ambassador sent with authority. When you were born, heaven rejoiced because an answer had arrived. When you showed up, something shifted in the earth because a purpose had entered time. Your presence here is evidence that there is still something God intends to do through you. You are not past your prime. You are not too young or too old. You are not too broken or too far gone. The call of God is not based on perfection. It is based on purpose. And purpose predates your performance. That means your worth cannot be destroyed by failure, nor can it be inflated by success. Your worth is eternal because it is rooted in divine intention. Inferiority is deception, not humility. It disguises itself as modesty, but its root is a lie that contradicts the truth of who you are in the eyes of your Creator. Many people embrace feelings of inferiority because they have been taught that to think less of themselves is somehow virtuous, that to downplay their gifts is to walk in humility. But there is a difference between humility and self-rejection. Humility is rooted in truth, but inferiority is rooted in distortion. It is a misalignment of identity. It is the silent voice in the back of your mind that says, "You're not good enough. You don't matter. You're less than them," even when God has already declared you more than a conqueror. Inferiority is subtle. It doesn't always show up as visible weakness. Sometimes it hides behind perfectionism, behind procrastination, behind the fear of being seen. It masquerades as caution, but it is really bondage. It convinces you to shrink when you were made to rise, to stay silent when you were meant to speak, to follow when you were born to lead. And it is fed by comparison, the habit of measuring your value against someone else's highlight reel, their status, their accolades, their gifts. But you were never designed to be a copy. You are not in competition with anyone because your assignment is yours alone. The danger of inferiority is that it keeps people from walking in purpose. It paralyzes destiny before it even begins. If the enemy can't stop your creation, he'll try to stop your confidence. He will whisper lies to you through life's disappointments, through rejection, through broken relationships, through failures, through environments that never affirmed you. And if those lies take root, you begin to internalize them, to believe that they are a reflection of your value. But the truth is, your value was established before anyone ever gave you their opinion. Inferiority is not about the external. It is a mindset. It is possible to look successful, wear confidence like a suit, speak with authority, and still be ruled by internal insecurity. That's why some of the most gifted people sabotage themselves. Deep inside, they don't believe they deserve the platform, the opportunity, or the favor. They carry the weight of their unworthiness like invisible chains, and those chains can keep them locked out of rooms that God already opened for them. You see, humility acknowledges that you need God. It is the posture that says, "I am nothing without Him, but with Him I can do all things." But inferiority goes further and says, "I am nothing, period." That is not humility. That is a rejection of truth. It is one thing to understand your dependence on God, but it is another thing to deny the deposit He placed inside of you. You cannot glorify God by belittling what He created. You cannot honor the Creator by calling His workmanship worthless. The mindset of inferiority is often generational. It's passed down through families, cultures, and communities that learn to survive by staying small. They were told, "Don't stand out, don't speak too loud, don't think you're better than anyone else." And while those words may have been rooted in protection, they built a stronghold of self, doubt that keeps many people imprisoned even today. But what was meant to keep you safe may now be keeping you stuck. You cannot fulfill a big purpose with a small mindset. There is nothing noble about denying your potential. False humility robs the world of your gift. It keeps you hiding behind excuses when you should be leading with boldness. Some people pray for doors to open, But when the door opens, they question whether they deserve to walk through it. That's the voice of inferiority trying to negotiate with grace. But grace was never about what you deserve. It was about what God has already made available to you by His love and calling. If you are constantly comparing yourself to others, inferiority will thrive. It feeds off of the belief that you're always a step behind someone else. But purpose is not a race. It is a journey uniquely mapped out for you. God never repeats Himself, so trying to match someone else's path is like asking a tree to become a river. Both are necessary, but both have different roles. You are not too little, you are not lacking, you are not late. You are exactly what God designed for your specific assignment. It is time to expose the deception. That internal voice telling you that you are not qualified is lying. That feeling that you're not as smart, as skilled, as good, looking as capable, as spiritual, that's a lie. That thought that others have something you don't and that you'll never measure up, that's a lie. Truth liberates and inferiority binds, and anything that binds is not from the one who came to set you free. You cannot serve people fully if you are always second, guessing your value. You cannot build, teach, lead, innovate, heal, or create from a place of internal conflict. Inferiority clouds your vision. It makes you shrink your ideas. It causes you to edit yourself in conversations. It tells you to sit in the back when God told you to take your seat at the table. It makes you question every compliment, downplay every success, and dismiss every opportunity as a fluke or accident. But when you understand that inferiority is a deception, you begin to unlearn the lies and embrace the truth. Comparison insults your Creator. It is more than a bad habit or a temporary emotional response. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of your identity and a dishonor to the one who made you. Every time you look at someone else and measure your value based on their appearance, achievements, voice, influence, or possessions, you are saying, whether you realize it or not, that what your Creator gave you is not enough. Comparison is an accusation wrapped in admiration. It tells God you made them better, and it quietly whispers, you made me less. You were not created to be a duplicate. God is not a manufacturer of copies. He is the creator of originals. Just like no two fingerprints are the same, no two destinies are the same. You were designed with intention, crafted for a specific purpose, and called into existence for a time such as this. To look at someone else's design and wish it were yours is to misunderstand your own blueprint. The plan for your life is not flawed because it doesn't look like someone else's. The uniqueness of your design is not a mistake, it is your power. Comparison always leads to distortion. It blinds you to your gifts and magnifies what you think you lack. It will have you envying someone else's calling while abandoning your own. You begin to crave their platform, their opportunities, their visibility, while ignoring the assignment that only you can fulfill. It causes you to devalue your experiences, your growth, your process, as if they are somehow less valid. But the truth is, your journey is tailor-made. It is specifically designed to equip you with everything needed for your purpose. One of the most tragic outcomes of comparison is that it can cause you to abort your own potential. You start to delay steps forward, second, guess your decisions, and feel paralyzed by the illusion that others are more capable, more talented, more deserving. You may even hide your gifts or sabotage your own success out of a fear that you will never live up to a standard that was never meant for you in the first place. Comparison forces you to run a race you were never entered into, chasing a finish line that doesn't even exist. Comparison is toxic because it is rooted in performance. It says, if I achieve more, then I'll be worth more. But your worth was settled before you achieved anything. You were valuable before your first success. You were loved before your first victory. You were chosen before your first mistake. God did not compare you to anyone else when he formed you. He simply created you and said, "This is good." So, when you compare yourself to others, you are not just doubting yourself. You are questioning the goodness of his design. People often compare the surface of others to the depth of their own struggles. They look at the outer image, the social media highlights, the public applause, and then evaluate their internal pain, their private failures, and their hidden fears against that image. It's an unfair, unrealistic, and damaging assessment. You do not know the battles someone else is fighting behind the scenes. You cannot measure your value based on their visible success. Appearances deceive, but purpose is deeper than what people show. The culture celebrates image, but God celebrates identity. Image is what people see. Identity is what God knows. When you live in comparison, you live chasing images, not identity, and what you chase controls you. If you spend your life trying to become like someone else, you will never become who you truly are. The world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs the full expression of you. When you suppress your originality to mimic someone else's success, you rob the world of what you were born to give. Every gift, every calling, every assignment carries a divine fingerprint. That means there is no success in copying someone else's purpose. You may be able to imitate their style, their speech, their branding, their methods, but you cannot imitate their anointing. What God gave them was designed for their journey, and what God gave you was crafted for yours. And just like David could not wear Saul's armor to fight Goliath, you cannot win your battles wearing someone else's image. You must use what God gave you. Comparison can even creep into spiritual things. You may feel inadequate when you hear others speak with boldness, or pray with power, or lead with authority. But God never asked you to become them. He asked you to be faithful with what he gave you. Your voice, even if it trembles, has power. Your gifts, even if they feel small, have impact. The measure is not how you compare to others. The measure is whether you are being true to what you've been called to do. The danger of comparison is not just in what it does to you. It's in what it stops you from doing. When you live in the shadow of someone else's purpose, you hide your own light. You silence your voice. You delay your obedience. You become more concerned with acceptance than with assignment. And in doing so, you miss the opportunity to be a blessing in the way only you can be. The most powerful version of you is not the version that looks like someone else. It is the version that fully embraces the original design God gave you. You were never meant to be their version. You were always meant to be his masterpiece. Comparison is not a compliment to others. It is a contradiction to God. It says he made a mistake with you, but God makes no mistakes. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are complete in him. You lack nothing essential for your assignment. What you carry is holy, necessary, and right on time. You are a solution sent to earth. Your presence is not casual, it is intentional. You were not born just to survive, pay bills, and die. You are not here to blend into the background of history. You were sent here by design, wrapped in a body, infused with purpose, and assigned to a generation. Your birth was not the beginning of your existence. It was the manifestation of it. Long before your body was formed, your purpose was established. Heaven released you into time because there was a problem on earth that required your presence. Every invention exists because there was a problem that needed solving. The light bulb was created to solve darkness. The airplane was created to conquer distance. The phone was created to bridge communication gaps. In the same way, you were created as an answer. Your gifts, personality, experiences, even your pain. They are all part of your toolset, your divine toolbox for solving something in this world. You are not just gifted, you are needed. You are not just talented, you are targeted. You are not just alive, you are assigned. When God wants to solve a problem on earth, he sends a person. He doesn't rain down solutions from the sky. He packages them in people. He puts answers inside vessels of clay. That means your life is not random, no matter how you started. Whether you were planned by people or not, you were planned by God. Your background does not cancel your calling. Your history does not negate your purpose. In fact, your history often equips you for your purpose. The very thing you thought disqualified you may be the exact thing that prepared you. You are a carrier of answers. You may not see it all at once, but inside you is something this generation cannot afford to live without. That's why you cannot afford to stay silent. You cannot afford to live small. You cannot afford to bury your gift because of fear, comparison, rejection, or past failure. The world is not waiting for someone perfect. It is waiting for someone obedient. You are not called to fix everything, but you are called to fix something. And what you are called to fix is what your soul responds to. That burden, that passion, that injustice you cannot ignore. It's not an accident. It is a clue to your purpose. Your value is not in what you possess, but in what you carry. There is a difference. Possessions can be bought, sold, or stolen. But what you carry from heaven cannot be transferred, duplicated, or erased. It is imprinted in your spirit. That is why you feel restless in certain environments. That is why ordinary living does not satisfy you. It is because your spirit knows you were sent here for something more. You were not designed to simply maintain. You were built to transform. When you walk into a room, something should shift because you walked in carrying answers. Purpose gives birth to clarity. When you realize you are a solution, you stop living aimlessly. You begin to live with direction. You stop asking, "What do I want to do with my life?" and start asking, "What was I sent to solve?" That question changes everything. It redefines success. Success is no longer about how much you can accumulate. It becomes about how much you can fulfill. It becomes about assignment over applause, about impact over image. There are people waiting for what you carry. They are waiting for your words, your creativity, your leadership, your healing, your ideas. They are waiting for your courage, your insight, your message. Some of them may never discover freedom, healing, or clarity until you step into your position. That's why your delay is dangerous. When you doubt yourself, you delay their breakthrough. When you hide your gift, you withhold their answer. When you disqualify yourself, you interfere with divine timing. You are not just holding up your life. You are affecting others connected to your obedience. Even your pain has purpose. The things you went through, the betrayals, the disappointments, the struggles, the setbacks, they were not in vain. They trained you for what you were sent to do. You may have cried in private, but those tears watered the soil of your future influence. You may have walked through fire, but now you carry the authority to pull others out of their flames. You don't just speak from theory. You speak from testimony. You don't just offer hope. You offer evidence. You do not have to be famous to be impactful. Solutions are not always loud. Some answers come through quiet leadership, through consistent love, through steadfast faithfulness. Whether you are on a stage or in a classroom, in a business or in a home, in a hospital or in a prison, your presence matters. Your gift makes a difference. You are not irrelevant. You are not insignificant. You are essential to the divine strategy unfolding on earth. There is a reason you survived what others didn't. There is a reason you were preserved while others were lost. It is not because you are better. It is because you are called. It is because the solution in you is still needed. There is still an assignment waiting for your agreement. There is still a divine instruction waiting for your obedience. You are not just one of many. You are one of a kind. And only you can deliver what God placed inside you. True identity is discovered in the Creator, not in the creation. You were never designed to define yourself based on opinions, experiences, achievements, or failures. These things may shape you, but they do not define you. Your true self is not found by looking around at others. It is found by looking up. Until you reconnect with the one who made you, you will always be searching for who you are. Identity is not something you create. It is something you uncover. It already exists. It was established before your birth. The world may call you by your condition, your mistake, your title, or your background, but none of those labels reveal who you truly are. Only your Creator holds the blueprint of your being. We live in a world that is obsessed with image but confused about identity. People are constantly trying to become someone else, molding themselves to fit expectations, chasing approval, performing to be accepted. But if you have to perform to be accepted, then you were never truly accepted to begin with. When you don't know who you are, you will accept any definition offered to you. That's why people are trapped in cycles of pretending, trying to look strong while feeling weak, acting confident while battling fear, wearing masks just to make it through the day. The danger of not knowing your identity is that you begin to live based on reaction instead of revelation. You react to criticism, you react to pressure, you react to trends, but revelation roots you. It grounds you in who you are, regardless of what others say or do. There is a distinct difference between identity and role. Your role may be mother, father, teacher, artist, student, leader, but that is not your identity. Those are functions you perform, not the essence of who you are. Identity is deeper than what you do. It is who you are when all the titles are stripped away. It is the unshakable core of your being that remains consistent no matter where life takes you. If you confuse your role with your identity, you will crumble when seasons change, if your job ends, if the relationship shifts, if the position is lost. Does your sense of self collapse with it? That is the danger of building your identity on temporary things. The truth is, you can't know who you are until you ask the one who made you. Creation cannot define itself apart from its creator. A product doesn't know its purpose until the manufacturer reveals it. A microphone doesn't decide to be a hammer. A car doesn't function like a boat. The only way to understand what a thing is to understand what it was designed to do. Likewise, the only way to walk in true identity is to understand why you were made. And that understanding comes from God, not from culture, not from trends, not from applause or rejection. When you discover your identity in your Creator, you gain a security that nothing in this world can shake. You stop being tossed by opinions. You stop living for validation. You stop chasing people who were never assigned to your destiny. You realize that your worth was established before anyone had a chance to approve or reject you. And when you know who you are, you begin to live from a place of authority. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. You expect differently, not from arrogance, but from alignment. You are walking in agreement with your original design. Your identity is not found in your flaws. It is not found in your past. It is not found in your trauma. It is not even found in your success. Some people lose themselves in pain, but others lose themselves in performance. They become addicted to doing more, achieving more, proving more, hoping that maybe then they will feel valuable. But value is not based on volume. You are not more valuable when you succeed and less valuable when you fail. Your identity is not fragile. It is not at the mercy of circumstances. It is firm because it is rooted in truth. Every time you try to define yourself without consulting your Creator, you risk mislabeling your life. You may call yourself unworthy when He calls you chosen. You may say you're broken when He calls you whole. You may believe you're forgotten when He calls you beloved. The names you answer to shape the way you think, speak, and act. That's why you must be careful what label you accept. If you wear the wrong name long enough, you start to live as if it's true. But truth does not change based on experience. Truth stands even when feelings fail. When you don't know who you are, you will always try to find it in something or someone else. Some search for identity in relationships, in careers, in achievements, in status. But those things were never meant to carry the weight of your identity. They can enhance your life, but they cannot define it. Only the one who breathed life into you can declare who you are. You were created in his image, which means there is a reflection of him within you. The more you know him, the more you understand yourself. You were never meant to navigate life without that connection. It's like a branch trying to live without the vine. It may look alive for a moment, but it will eventually wither. The enemy of your soul doesn't mind if you are busy, talented, even successful, so long as you remain disconnected from your true identity. Because when you don't know who you are, you can be manipulated, misused, and misdirected. But when you know who you are, you become unshakable. You stop asking for permission to exist. You stop apologizing for your calling. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You step into rooms with clarity, speak with conviction, move with purpose. Not because you're better than others, but because you finally understand you were never meant to be anyone else. You are not inferior because of where you started. Your beginning does not determine your becoming. You may have been born into limitation, obscurity, dysfunction, poverty, or rejection, but those conditions are not your conclusion. Your origin may explain your process, but it does not define your potential. You did not choose your starting line, but you do have a say in how you finish the race. The place of your birth, the family you came from, the mistakes you made early on. They are not powerful enough to cancel what was placed inside you before you were formed. Many people look at their background and assume it disqualifies them from greatness. They believe because they weren't born into privilege, or because their past is full of pain, they have less value or fewer options. But history proves otherwise. Some of the greatest world changers came from the lowest places. Destiny is not reserved for the elite. It is assigned by God, and he often hides it in places people overlook. He places treasures in earthen vessels, greatness in common containers, purpose in the forgotten and the rejected. Your environment may have shaped you, but it does not own you. You are not the sum of your surroundings. You are the expression of divine intention. You may have grown up around small thinking, broken systems, or toxic words that tried to cage your potential, but those were external influences. They are not internal truths. The reality is, some of the greatest fires are forged in the hardest places. Pressure produces power. Struggle cultivates strength. What was meant to break you was only preparing you to carry what others cannot. Inferiority is a mindset, not a fact. It is a perception of self that is often based on comparison, shame, or rejection. It grows in environments where people have been told they're not enough, not smart enough, not attractive enough, not connected enough. It speaks in your ear, echoing the voices of the past that said, "You'll never be anything." But what they said is not what God said, and what God says about you is what truly matters. Inferiority only thrives where identity is absent. When you discover who you are and whose you are, inferiority begins to lose its grip. The power of God is not limited by your past. In fact, he often chooses the unlikely so that the glory goes to him. He chose David, the forgotten shepherd boy. He chose Gideon, who called himself the least in his tribe. He chose Esther, an orphaned exile. He chose Joseph, a prisoner with a dream. Over and over again, God bypasses the obvious and selects the overlooked. Why? Because he sees what man cannot see. He sees purpose where others see problems. He sees destiny where others see dirt. He sees strength where others only see scars. You are not inferior because you don't have what someone else has. God didn't make a mistake when he chose your path. He gave you exactly what you need to fulfill your purpose. You may not have their resources, their background, or their connections, but you have your own grace. You have your own portion, you have your own oil, and when you try to mimic someone else, you dilute what you carry. What you have may not look like much to others, but in the hands of the one who sent you, it is more than enough. It's important to understand that your worth is not measured by your possessions, appearance, or public recognition. The world tries to rank people based on status, income, followers, education, and popularity, but heaven operates by a different standard. Heaven honors obedience, faith, character, and purpose. You are not inferior just because you don't fit the mold of what others celebrate. You are not inferior because your success is quiet, your influence is hidden, or your growth is slow. Some of the most powerful people in the kingdom of God are the ones no one sees, the ones who serve in secret, the ones who stay faithful when no one claps. Your voice matters, even if it trembles. Your gift matters, even if it's not recognized yet. Your vision matters, even if it hasn't manifested fully. Never allow your beginning to silence your potential. People may look down on your origin, but God looks at your outcome. He declares the end from the beginning. That means while others are judging your current state, God is speaking to your completed destiny. He sees the finished product while you're still in process. What you have been through may have made you feel small. Life has a way of trying to shrink you through rejection, failure, betrayal, delay. But those moments are not an indication of your value. They are opportunities for your capacity to grow. Every time you rise after falling, you defy the lie of inferiority. Every time you believe again, speak again, build again, you are declaring that your start is not your story. You are rewriting the narrative that was spoken over your life. You are not here by accident. You are not a mistake. You are not less than. You are not too late, too broken, too far gone, or too unqualified. You were fearfully and wonderfully made, and everything about you was designed with intentionality. The timing of your arrival, the wiring of your personality, the uniqueness of your gift, they were all crafted for the generation you were sent to impact. You don't have to compete, compare, or conform. You just have to show up as the original you were created to be. In conclusion, you are not inferior to anyone. Your value is intrinsic, established by the Creator before the foundation of the world. Your worth is not determined by comparisons, conditions, or circumstances. You were made with a purpose that no one else can fulfill, a unique calling that cannot be duplicated. The world may try to label you, limit you, or define you by its standards, but none of those labels can touch the truth of who you are. You are not defined by your past, your mistakes, your struggles, or even your successes. You are defined by the Creator, who saw fit to call you into being, equipping you with everything you need to accomplish your purpose. Your greatness is not determined by where you started or where others are. You have been entrusted with a destiny that is uniquely yours, and it is your responsibility to walk in it with confidence. Do not shrink back because of what you lack or because you feel you are not enough. You are enough just as you are. The power to change, to impact, to influence, and to rise above is already within you. Stop measuring yourself by the standards of the world and start measuring yourself by the truth of who God says you are. When you truly understand this, you will walk in the freedom of knowing that your identity is not up for debate. It is established, it is secure, and it is powerful. You are not inferior. Never were, never will be. You are a masterpiece, a solution to a problem, an answer to a question that only you can answer. Stand in the confidence of your identity, for you are exactly who you were made to be.